Hi, this is Sandy Taylor, and thank you for tuning in. This is the People's Voice titled, Amortization is a Legalized Embezzlement. And here's why I think that's the case. As a conscientious retired person living on Social Security, I'm looking at every possible aspect of our economic structure that might help this crisis, as well as improve my own personal financial picture. When I looked at a balloon payment that came due on a home equity line of credit on the last home I owned, I had a realization. I had refinanced my home, giving up a fixed rate of 5 7/8 first mortgage and an 8.5 equity line of credit for a new 30-year loan with a fixed rate of 6.25%. The total payment remained the same. At about the same time, I heard a proposed regulation on capping the maximum interest rates that check cashing companies could charge, because they had been gouging people with 50 and 60 and 100% interest. And then I realized that mortgage companies charge even as high or higher total interest rates over the term of the loan. This is how I see it. Let's say an average family moves perhaps every 5 years and might refinance their loan at least that often as rates fluctuate and balloon payments come due. With the practice of amortizing mortgages, the lion's share of the payment is interest and is weighted at the front end of the loan. I assumed that the schedule of repayment started out assuming a homeowner would stay in the house for the term of the loan, say 30 years. If the same loan stood over the 30 years, the interest rate of, say, 8% would remain constant as a fixed rate, not a variable rate, but a fixed rate, and the interest paid would be nearly 2 times the amount of the original loan. During the first few years, nearly all of the payment goes toward the interest, which causes the principal amount to basically remain the same. So at the end of the loan term, the majority of the payment goes towards principal. But since few mortgages go to maturity, the 30 years, the homeowner goes back to the ratio of 5% principal and 95% interest each time a new loan or refinance is made. Of course, in addition to closing costs and lender profit that's identified as points. During the first year of a $100,000 loan, approximately $8,000 is paid in interest and $835 goes toward principal. If held for the entire 30 years, a total of $164,160 is paid in interest, which is 1 2/3 the total principal value of the initial loan. If a family moves or refinances every 5 years during that 30-year period, it goes up to $195,475 will be paid in interest, and nearly the entire $95,000 would still be owed in principal on the last house or the last loan, assuming each subsequent purchase or finance is at the same amount of $100,000. But that would not be the case because buyers usually move up when they buy a new house a few times over 30 years, and they realize sometimes a profit from appreciation. So each time they get a loan, the principal value goes up, and sometimes they take cash out when they're refinancing. So the real amounts paid in interest are staggering. This scenario assumes no financial crises are faced and no unemployment or underemployment occurs, or no other major expenditures such as divorce, college education, catastrophic medical expense, or lack of medical insurance, bankruptcy or foreclosure, which many families face today. Under the current program, we middle-class and working-class citizens cannot get ahead or face retirement with any degree of security. Amortization of primary residences must be outlawed. Straight-line interest is the only fair method of assessing interest. Before any bailout of financial institutions, a new program or process of home buying and financing must be considered. We can't afford to put a Band-Aid on this problem. A total reworking of the financial and economic system must occur. We are on the brink of disaster, as great or worse than the housing bubble we experienced decades ago, when lenders overextended loans to underqualified buyers with no discretion as to ability to repay loans. Thus, the home buyers paid the price in mass foreclosures. The practice of negative amortization and upside-down loans was eventually halted, but not before millions of homeowners suffered extreme financial losses. And we are at the point of that crisis recurring. And amortization is illegal or legal embezzlement to home buyers, and it must be stopped. Thank you for listening and watching, and please share this video and support any opportunity that you have to bring attention to this atrocity that's called amortization. Thank you.